Let's break down Combat Scout. How does it work, and is it worth using? The description says that damaging an enemy briefly highlights them for you and marks them for the entire squad. This is mostly accurate. For the most part, whenever you damage an enemy, they will be highlighted or outlined, and a slightly smaller red ping than the ones we're used to will appear above the enemy's head. If you damage an enemy out in the open, they will have an orange outline. However, if any part of their body is obscured by any object or terrain, that part will be highlighted by an orange grid-like pattern. The outline time seems to be 650 milliseconds, while the highlight time only seems to be 600 milliseconds. I should say that unlike many of the other perks, this does not have a range where it stops working. I've gone highlights and pings up to 320 meters, and there's nothing to tell me that it won't keep going. So let's talk about what can trigger this. Basically, any direct weapon damage, including through objects, will be causing an outline. Lethals are also counted as weapon damage. Surprisingly, kill streaks also count as direct damage. So if you call an airstrike on someone, it will highlight them through whatever objects they are behind. They cannot be triggered by tacticals though, including stuns, even though they do a little damage when they're used. But if you throw a stun grenade or any other tactical at an enemy, it will damage them, so they will be highlighted, along with any other objects you throw at them. And if you shoot a vehicle body, this will not cause the driver or the passenger to be highlighted. You must get a direct hit on them in order to highlight them. After testing the duration of the ping about 20 times, I couldn't really find many consistencies, except for one time where 3 times in a row, I managed to get numbers close enough between 2 and 2.4 seconds. So when you're using Combat Scout and you hit someone, you can probably expect somewhere between 2 and 2.5 seconds of an active ping. With the outline and the highlight, every time you get a hit, you can expect that you would get 600 to 650 more milliseconds of highlight or outline, but not with the ping. Sometimes you get 2 extra seconds, sometimes only 1. It just doesn't seem to make any sense. But the ping aspect of Combat Scout isn't the only thing that doesn't seem to work right. Most of the time, whenever you hit an enemy again, it will refresh the duration of the highlight and the ping. It doesn't matter if you're 200 milliseconds into the process or 200 milliseconds after the highlight is ended, if you hit them, it will come back. But not always. Sometimes when you're hitting an enemy, it just won't come back up, and sometimes you can wait up to 1.5 seconds before it lets you highlight them again. I haven't been able to replicate this consistently though, so this just may be a weird, rare bug. So what counters Combat Scout? Thankfully, that's an easy question. It's fully countered by Cold-Blooded. If you're using Combat Scout and you shoot someone with Cold-Blooded, you'll just get a normal hit marker. The person that you shoot won't know that you have Combat Scout, but you do know that they don't have EOD, so if you have any explosives, use them. So is Combat Scout worth running over amped? Well, that depends on the type of player that you are. With the recent nerfs to many of the SMGs, the pistols are in a little too good of a spot right now. So if you get your Ghost loadout first, not only are you protected from UAVs, but you also have a sidearm that you can swap fast to without amped, and will serve you well in close quarters. You may not need amped since you'll probably have your long-range weapon out all the time, and you'll have the advantage since you'll be able to ping people and track them through objects. If you start shooting through the cover, you may force them out into the open and into a worse situation. And if you have a squad member or are the squad member who likes to use LMGs, then if you start using FMJ, you may start causing mass panic in enemy squads. However, if your favorite weapon to use is something like the Modern Warfare MP5, then Combat Scout may not be for you. Being an aggressive player means that you're gonna need a longer range weapon to complement your close range weapon. And you will have such a slow swap time that even though you would have a nice ability to see through walls, it's just not worth it. And as an aggressive player or anyone who's fighting more in close range, amped is more important because you're gonna be needing to plate up a lot. But maybe even if you are an aggressive player and you have a restock class for the final circle, then it may be worth running. So what is a typical perk loadout that you would run if you want to use Combat Scout? In the perk 2 category, you'll probably be running Ghost or Restock. You probably won't be running Overkill since you won't be able to swap between your primary weapons very fast, and you probably shouldn't be using Tempered, and I'll explain that when we get to my Tempered video. And for your perk 1 category, you're either going to be wanting to use Cold-Blooded, or EOD. You may want to use Cold-Blooded if you want to avoid other people using Combat Scout, but if you're tired of just getting blown up and don't mind being highlighted, then of course you can use EOD. So that's Combat Scout. Have you used it yet? Or if not, why not? And if there's anything you want me to cover or break down, whether it's a weapon or a mechanic, let me know and you may see it on the next Community Wednesday. But that's the video. If you enjoyed it or it's helped you in any way, let me know by leaving a like. If you got any questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section down below. And if you want to make sure that you never miss another video again, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.